Your votes have been counted and the results are in. And the best part is, you didn't even know you were voting. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's biggest snubs, your picks, are coming up next on Track by Track. Hey everybody, my name's Kyle and this is Track by Track, music reviews, news, and commentary. Thanks for tuning in today, and if this is your first time here, please take a second to click subscribe so that you won't miss future reviews and more. The single most controversial topic ever discussed on this channel is unquestionably the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Over the past few years, I've posted multiple videos about the Rock Hall, including my predictions for each year's nominees, my reactions to the acts that end up being inducted, and my list of acts that I think have been snubbed. And while there's never been any shortage of opinions in the comments sections about whether or not each year's acts have been worthy of nomination or induction, more often than not, the discussion quickly shifts to snubs. Each year, the Track by Track audience is far more passionate about the acts that didn't get into the Rock Hall than the ones that did. What's been interesting to me over the past few years is seeing patterns emerge in the comments, seeing which acts seem to be repeatedly offered up as, quote, the biggest snub of all. Sometimes it's obscure acts that get mentioned, acts that realistically have no chance of ever being nominated, let alone being inducted. But usually it's big-name acts that, for most people, elicit the response of, how is it possible they're not in the Rock Hall already? This year, the reaction in the comments section of several of my Rock Hall videos has been bigger than ever. And it occurred to me that over the past few years, you all have left literally thousands of comments listing the acts you think have been snubbed by the Rock Hall. What I decided to do was add it all up and find out which acts truly were the biggest Rock Hall snubs according to you, the Track by Track audience. Now, admittedly, it's been a bit of an unscientific process. I went through all the comments and tabulated the number of times each individual act was mentioned as being snubbed. Some viewers offered up just their single top pick, while others listed multiple acts. Most listed multiple acts, in fact. For my purposes, every mention counts. I wasn't going to restrict everyone to just one vote, and as a result, there were a lot of votes. Ultimately, though, we ended up with a top 10 list that I think pretty fairly represents the cumulative views of you as an audience. Will everyone be happy? Not a chance. It is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, after all. There's obviously a lot to discuss here. So what I'm going to do is split this into two videos. In this first video, we'll take a look at the first half of your top 10, the acts that rank 10 through 6 in your voting. Then in my second video, I'll do a quick overview of some of the acts that didn't make the top 10, sort of an honorable mention list featuring many, many popular favorites. Then we'll dive into the top 5 and reveal your pick for the number 1 Rock Hall snub. And because these videos are all about you, I'll be highlighting your comments throughout the entire top 10. So pay attention, you may be featured in this video. All right, one last bit of housekeeping before we begin. When it comes to Rock Hall snubs, the most important thing for you to understand is the rules for eligibility in terms of years. According to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, an act becomes eligible for nomination 25 years after the release of their first record. What that means is when Bernie J. Rucker says Emerson, Lake and Palmer has been snubbed for 52 years, that's not entirely accurate. The band's first album came out in 1970, which was indeed 52 years ago, but they didn't actually become eligible for nomination to the Rock Hall until 25 years later in 1995. So technically, they've been snubbed for the 27 years since. Considering the fact that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame started in 1986, the longest anyone could have been snubbed at this point is 36 years. Meanwhile, another viewer lamenting about the sad day when Imagine Dragons might get into the Rock Hall should rest a little easier knowing that it won't happen for at least 12 years. That band's debut was in 2009, which means they won't be eligible for nomination until 2034 at the earliest. All right, now that we've got that out of the way, let's start the countdown. I say whip it! Whip it good! In the words of one passionate track-by-track viewer, Devo, baby. Coming in at number 10 on your list of the biggest Rock Hall snubs is a band that's no stranger to nomination. They were actually nominated 2 years in a row in both 2022 and 2021, following their first nomination in 2019. They've been eligible for Rock Hall nominations since 2002, so yes, Auto Chad, they should have got in a long time ago. Even Rock Hall inductee Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails is an avowed fan of Devo. Heck, they even covered one of his songs. It's a bit curious to me that Devo had been eligible for 17 years before they got their first nomination, and then ended up being nominated 3 times within a 4-year period. Seems like the nominating committee is trying to make up for lost time there, so don't be surprised, Freedom Fighter 29, if on next year's ballot we once again see one small name, Devo. Coming in at number 9 on the list is an act I've seen a lot of support for over the past few years, but never as much as what I saw in 2022. Kate Bush received her 3rd nomination to the Rock Hall this year, once again being passed over for induction and receiving only modest support in the fan vote, where she ranked in 10th place. All of that took place before her Stranger Things moment, though. Over the summer of 2022, her 80s hit Running Up That Hill was enjoying a massive surge in popularity, which was also reflected in your comments. Marcel Trollo writes, talking about early influence and musical excellence, Kate Bush is a major influence for a lot of musicians. I agree, and I've speculated that Bush will ride this wave of newfound popularity into her 4th nomination next year. Prince Darkness 85 will certainly be there to support her. He says, I voted for her all 3 times she was nominated. If she's nominated in 2023, I will continue to vote till she gets in. But viewer John Johnson also makes a fair point when he says, it's almost a shame that Bush had to wait for this song to become a pop culture phenomenon in order to be even likely to get in. I get what you mean, and no doubt this is an upside-down way of getting into the Rock Hall, but I'm all for anything that levitates her chances. Take the last train to Pottsville and I'll meet you at the station. Why is it that the Monkees are not yet in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? They've been eligible for a whopping 31 years, longer than any other act in the top 10. Could it be, as Philip Dickey suggests, that there's a stigma against them for being a band that was made for TV? I definitely think that is a factor, plus the fact that for a number of years they famously didn't even play their own instruments. Even still, they made a massive impact on popular music to the point that, yes, Regina Roth, I agree that the Monkees should be in the Rock Hall. But here's a sad fact that some of you brought up, which tragically applies to many acts still waiting to get in. Remy Lopez says, it's a shame that Davey and Peter are gone and will never experience an induction. Yeah, exactly right. And in the time since Remy made this comment, we lost Michael Nesmith too. Lola Bratton points out, now there's only one left. And yet somehow, this is a band that has never had a single Rock Hall nomination. Considering how long they've been eligible, they may statistically be the biggest snub on this list. At number 7 comes an act that appeared most commonly in the comments section as just 3 letters, or as in the case of Stephen Schultz, 3 letters emphatically repeated 3 times. ELP. For the uninitiated, MB sets us straight. It's Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Often referred to as a supergroup, it's worth noting that none of the namesakes from ELP have been inducted into the Rock Hall with one of their other acts either. Still, I'd suggest their biggest impact on rock music remains the group that bears their collective names. The Lone Raven calls Emerson, Lake and Palmer vital rockers, while Fingers Fan One perhaps even understates their contribution, calling them an extremely talented band from years ago. Years ago indeed. At this point, only drummer Carl Palmer is still with us. They've been eligible for induction for 27 years, but have yet to receive their first nomination. For Palmer's sake, I agree with Sky McKee. ELP needs to get in the hall. The sooner the better. 3 years ago, Track by Track viewer Elijah French posed the question, am I the only one who thinks Bad Company is very underrated and should be in the Rock Hall by now? Elijah, you are definitely not the only one. Marty Smith agrees. Bad Company needs to be in here. And Darren Bush feels so strongly about it, he put it in all caps with no less than 3 exclamation points. Bad Company has been eligible for induction since 1999, and like too many others on this list, has yet to receive a single nomination. But there's something else very interesting at play here, and that's lead singer Paul Rodgers' contribution to rock and roll. As Michael Plog points out about Paul Rodgers, this guy is a legend with hits spanning 3 decades. It's true, and not just with Bad Company. Brendan Higgins references Free, Bad Company, and Paul as a solo artist. And of course, as Fred Stryker points out, my God, the guy even filled in for Freddie Mercury when he passed. It's true, Rodgers did indeed front Queen for 5 years in the early 2000s. So, while I don't disagree with Bad Company being in the Rock Hall, I have to wonder if Paul Rodgers is perhaps even more deserving of the honor, perhaps under the musical excellence category. All right, we've reached the halfway point in the countdown, which is to be continued in my second video, featuring your top 5 picks for the biggest Rock and Roll Hall of Fame snubs of all time. We've got 5 epic rock bands coming up, no solo artists among them. They range from 18 to 29 years of Rock Hall eligibility, yet among them all there's been just one single Rock Hall nomination. Truly a crime, I'm sure you'll agree. Who makes the top spot? Click over right now to watch part 2 and find out. Once again, my name's Kyle, and this has been Track by Track. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in part 2.